Okay. It appears that YouTube has at last condescended to let me in and to let me go live. Thank you, YouTube overlords. How are you, everybody? Welcome, welcome, welcome to the final A World Away read along, you guys. We made it!
Yay!
Woohoo! You're doing it!
Yeah. It kind of reminds me of Elle Woods when she does her graduation speech. I wanted to do like, we made it, you guys. So, what a ride it's been, and I'm so overjoyed that I was able to do this thing with all of you. So, chapter 117, it was published, I don't know, like less than 48 hours ago, I believe. I think it was published on April 3rd, so...
You actually made it.
Yeah.
Yes, you actually made it.
Yeah, I devoted all of my Wednesday evening, starting from 6 o'clock, like 5 o'clock in the afternoon, to just clean the first draft, then did a second draft, and then just like a final read through, and then hit the publish button at around 1 a.m. or I don't know, 12 something a.m. So guess what? I went to sleep. I woke up to like so many messages of congratulations, and just it was perfect. And guess what, you guys? Hirami had already done the highlighting for this chapter. So wow, talk about speed.
Yay!
Yes, so thank yous and congratulations all around, everybody. Now, today we are going to be reading the final. It is the epilogue chapter, but it kind of doesn't read like an epilogue. When I was reading it again, it's kind of still feels like another chapter, the final chapter. So I'll leave it to you guys if you want to call it an epilogue or just final chapter. So today we have some people already on the YouTube. So let's just say hello to the YouTube early gang, who happen to be the same folks in this call. I love it. We have Yukihime, who says, last A World Away read along. The way now that I read it, kind of would make me tear up a little. What a journey it has been. Stop it. And then emojis of crying little babies. Yes, I know. In my heart, that's my emoji right now. I'm just a little bit attached to A World Away. It has been my side project for the past 3 years. Like, I have work, I have a YouTube channel, but like when I'm washing the dishes, or I'm just like driving, or going down the grocery store aisle, or going out for a walk, like I'm usually like thinking like, how can I make this thing better? Or like, how can I resolve this conflict? How can I get out of this bog that I like threw myself into by putting the characters in these situations? So it's kind of like special and kind of sad to see that go. But don't worry, I am planning on continuing fanficking, so it'll hopefully by the end of April or mid-April I'll have a chapter for my new fanfic. So, but I'll talk about that later. Also, we had Hirami, who says, we are here, I can feel that I may cry. Don't cry! Otherwise I will cry. Besides, you're gonna be reading Chaosifer, and Chaosifer would never cry. Ever. She would never cry.
Exactly, that's what I wrote.
Right, she would never shed no tears. Queens don't cry. Ooh.
Wait. What if Ferdinand makes her cry?
Why would he make her cry? She would just strike him on the spot. That's all.
Because she did all that damage to his one true love.
Nah. She doesn't get attached to no mere mortal. She would never. Even if it is Ferdinand. Never. Alright. Let's see. Obviously, sheesh, what kind of question is that? Alright, we have Fergie, who says quack. Hello, Fergie. We have Patrick, right on time. Patrick says, gonna miss this story. Yeah, me too, me too. Looking forward to Anne of Green Gables. Yes, that is the next story that we will be reading. Whether we'll be reading it on this channel or on the other one, still kind of wondering, because I want to kind of gauge the interest of the other people that are subscribed to the other channel. Would they be like interested in read-alongs, or should we just keep it in this channel? I don't know yet. But I'm mostly tempted to do the first one over there and then just move the rest of them here. That's probably what we're gonna do. And Hiremi also says Anne with an E. Of course, Anne with an E. Oh.
Of course, she's got to correct me.
Of course. Yukihime says, we have been reading A World Away for 7 months. Has it been 7 months, you guys? Has it really been 7 months?
From the end of August until now. So like all of autumn, all of winter, and March.
Wow.
And half of April.
So it took me 7 months to go from, let me see, what chapter was it? I forgot what chapter it was. Oh gosh, this is the wrong fanfic. I'm reading right now Trials of a Bookworm. I pulled up Trials of a Bookworm, which is excellent from what I've been able to read. Hold on, A World Away. Here we go. So it took me about 7 months then to write all of these things. See, there's something like when people expect you to like finish a project, you will get it done. Yeah, August 15, I announced the new chapter. So that was around chapter 97. So it took me 7 months to write all of 20 chapters. Doesn't sound like much, but believe me, it's a lot.
Yeah, but they were like 3 or 4 times longer than some of the earlier chapters, you know?
That's true. Yeah, because we used to read like two a read. I think on the first read along, I was listening to it earlier this morning. The first read along, we read 5 chapters, you guys. 5. All right, and
I was able to post my memes.
Oh, you were able to post the memes. Okay, I'll be sure to show them. Again, You guys remind me to show the memes, okay? All right, so it's almost it's 1:08. I think we should probably get started. So just a TLDR for those of us who are just joining and have not read or not listened along to the latest chapters. Basically,
What are you doing here?
hey, maybe they just want to take part in something special. Like the end of an era. No, the end of A World Away. So we had Ferdinand and Rosamine. They had a plan. Ferdinand to protect Rosamine and Rosamine to protect Ferdinand, but in the end, it just didn't work out. The world comes to an end. No matter what each of them try to do to stop it or to protect the other, the world comes to an end. Ferdinand feels responsible for Myne, so he does make sure to be with her at the end of the world, because after all, Eckhart, yes, our beloved murdered doggo, he did, fall in the conflict, so he was wounded mortally, he died. So that happened tragically. Also, Myne, her baby comes in early, and that's just, it's pretty bad, you guys. So she's also dead. Except that as she was dying, Chaosifer was able to take over her body, since Myne no longer is wearing the Hersphere stone. Chaosifer took over her body, and grabbing hold of Veritas, the nearest available, weapon at hand. Yeah, she stabbed Ferdinand with it, doing what Rosamine could not bring herself to do, which was put an end to this altered, damaged weeb, just like the goddesses had told her to do. This, of course, had some implications, which means that, the weeb does come to an end, we find out that because Chaosifer was the one that cut it, this divine touch made a permanent alternate reality. So she took the strings, and I don't know. We don't know what exactly how it happened, and so we have Rano waking up in the hospital, and rather than dying, she does survive, and it happens to be Myne, with all of Rano with Myne's memories. And then something else happens, you guys. What else happens when Rano wakes up?
There was someone there.
Eckhart's there.
Yes, someone there. Eckhart is there. At least, yeah, the person who, Eckhart is there. Basically, he finds her and they have a reunion in the real modern day world here in Japan. All right, so I think that covers just about everything. We still have some questions, some loose ends that we need to deal with. So we're gonna do that right now. Yep, everybody ready? Yes? Yes. Okay. So today reading we have Myne/Urano/Rosamine is going to be read by Little Butterfly. Chaosopher is going to be read by Hirami. Last Fram by JC Fergie. Eckhart by none other than Patrick, of course. Ferdinand by JC Fergie, of course. Eustace by Yukihime. Hartmut by Patrick. Urano Mama, that's gonna be Teal. Shu is going to be read by Yukihime, and Random Person is going to be read by Hirami. Highlights today, thank you to Hirami. You guys, between Hirami and Teal, you both have done an amazing job. So thank you so much for doing all of 117 chapters. Okay, so let's get this started, you guys. Chapter 117. Old and New Bonds, Part 4. Epilogue. Rosamine. Rosamine flew, pushing Leslie as fast as she could as she sped through the crumbling colonnades of the Royal Academy looking for Ferdinand. Screams echoed through the halls. Nobles, scholars, professors, all caught up in the collapse of the world as they knew it. But she had no time to grieve for them. She'd left behind a far better man than any of them, and her heart still wept for what she'd done. Eckhart's bloodied form flashed in her mind. She could have sworn she had heard a voice, her voice, screaming in wild desperation to go back and heal him.
Save him! Somehow, please!
But no, she was here for Ferdinand. When she finally emerged outside, she gazed up at the sickly gray clouds rolling above, heavy with the weight of impending doom. Those same looming clouds obscured the lines of the gigantic magic circle that typically shone over the Royal Academy, though, now and then, unexplainable flashes of light pierced through at odd intervals.
There he is.
Before she could take flight, however, the explosion came. The sound of an object hurling earthward faster than the speed of sound split the air. A blinding white light erupted from the central building of the academy, swallowing everything in its path. She cried out as the explosion struck her. There was no sound, only the violent, all-consuming force that hurled her through the air and ripped her from the physical realm. Pain lanced through her. Her breath hitched as her body twisted, weightless and directionless, until everything went dark. When she opened her eyes again, she was floating.
What was that?
Then she realized that her body was weightless. She was once again suspended in the space between realms, where time and space bent and blurred, the place between dreams, between realities. Her incorporeal form pulsed with urgency, the aftershocks of destruction still reverberating through her as her head continued spinning. She reached instinctively for the vial at her hip, gulping down a stamina potion that did little to ease the trembling in her hands. The trembling only worsened when her vision cleared and she saw the devastation around her. The Royal Academy was gone. The sky had turned black as a column of white rose from the earth like a gushing fountain. She couldn't feel anything any more now, but all around her, just another dimension away from hers, everything was incinerated and turned to white ash. Her stomach twisted.
Ferdinand!
Had he been caught up in this too? Was he alive? He had to be alive. This weeb only existed so long as he or Myne lived. Closing her eyes, she reached out, spreading her awareness, feeling for the faintest flicker of his mana. The echoes of devastation threatened to overwhelm her senses and drown out the tenuous connection that still bound them together. But she forced herself to push deeper, ignoring the awful sounds and the throes and moans of anguish from this dying world. And then,
There!
faint, flickering, still alive, falling through the sky and disappearing into the white column of light. Her breath caught. She surged forward, threading herself through the tattered weave of reality, chasing that fragile strand of mana, weaving her way past memories, past voices, past unbearable loss. She wouldn't let go. Not again. When she finally reached him, he was in Ehrenfest, and he was not alone. She arrived just in time to witness a heartbreaking tableau, her other self and Ferdinand clinging to each other, whispering words she couldn't hear, amidst the steady approach of a terrifying tide of white sand. The sight of them, the closeness and intimacy they shared, struck her like a hammer to the chest. She felt something like a stab of betrayal in her heart, something that felt an awful lot like jealousy. Ferdinand had given up what they had for this version of herself. But the emotion passed quickly as she looked at her other self, who had been so stubbornly beyond her reach all this time. Only now could she take a good look at her. This Myne, her other self, looked so frail and small in his arms. Her form curled inward, racked with tremors of pain. Her nightgown clung to her sweat-soaked skin, her blue hair matted against her forehead. But it was her swollen belly that made the blood in Rosamine's veins run cold. It made the last words that Eckhart and Ferdinand had exchanged, the enormity of their sacrifice, utterly heart-wrenching.
Pregnant with Eckhart's baby?
It was too absurd, almost laughable, for her to believe something so ludicrous. But what wasn't laughable was the sight of all that blood and her intense suffering. Too much blood. Enough to make Rosamine's head spin. It pools beneath Myne, staining the sheets and mattress, spreading with each agonized convulsion. Myne's fingers clutched at Ferdinand's robes, desperate, as if he were the only thing tethering her to life. Ferdinand looked on, helpless and pale, doing his best to shield Myne with his cape. Rosamine's own body trembled. She tried to reach her, to cast healing, to do something. Despite everything, something in her demanded that she take action and find a way to deal with the current situation, but she was no physician, and she was also no better than a ghost, helpless and silent.
What can I do? Oh gods, help someone!
Rosamine cried, trying to approach them, to cast healing or do something, anything, but of course she couldn't. And the gods to whom she had prayed 1,000 times before remained silent as well. They had abandoned this weeb to its doom. And then the nightmare became something even worse. Chaosopher's voice slithered through Rosamine's mind, cool and mocking, as a tide of sand reached Ehrenfest city walls at last.
Time for the grand finale.
Rosamine froze, horror locking her limbs in place.
Watch out!
But before she could scream, before Ferdinand could react, a blue gleaming mana blade plunged into his back. Myne, no, not Myne anymore, smiled as she twisted the blade. Ferdinand's mouth opened in a silent gasp, his body seizing. His arms around Myne went slack. Both their threads were severed. Myne and Ferdinand were dead. No, not dead. Ferdinand, he still had a pulse, weak and fleeting, but there. Rosamine didn't hesitate. With a savage cry and a desperate heave of mana, she crossed back to the physical realm, feeling her body reform, solid and shaking, just as Myne's began to dissolve to white dust. The light began to fade. The world got colder and colder. Rosamine coughed violently, her chest seizing as she trudged through the thick, shifting sand. It clung to her, draining her mana with every agonizing step. When the floor gave way beneath her feet, she waited, then swam, forcing herself forward until her trembling hands finally found him.
Ferdinand!
His body was still warm, still solid, still achingly familiar in her arms. Her body knew this embrace, but even as she held him, she felt that he was slipping away, growing lighter, dissolving into the rising tide of white sand.
Ferdinand!
She choked out, her voice trembling beneath the deafening howl of wind. Around them, the world was collapsing, the groan of splintering wood, the crash of stone, the final death rattle of the Linkberg estate falling in on itself.
We're going home.
She whispered, a promise, a plea.
You hear me? We're going home.
For a fleeting moment, his eyes flickered open. Recognition. A breath. And then they closed again. Her grip tightened, refusing to let go. She wouldn't let him go.
I love you, Ferdinand.
Darkness swallowed them whole. A searing pain ripped through her, an all-consuming fire surging beneath her skin. Avrigleb's judgment. She gasped, her lungs tightening as though the very air was being sucked from her body. She was suffocating, dying. But she had withstood pain like this and more. All she could think of was Ferdinand. How much worse it must be for him. Her fingers, desperate, clutched at what remained of him. Her hand closed around the mana blade. It was still warm with his blood. With a final sound of thunder, the world crumbled into itself. Sand and darkness swallowed everything. And with it, her heart. Ferdinand. He was in Alexandria, yet something was missing. In spite of having awoken with gained memories, it felt like a piece of himself was still lost in the chasm between memory and reality. He'd woken alone, but even as he swung his legs over the side of the bed and stood, he heard the commotion outside his bedroom doors. Familiar voices, hurried footsteps. It was time to go back to work. He sighed, willing himself to calm down just as his mind recalled flashes of a world breaking apart. A woman's familiar voice crying out in anguish, white sand swallowing everything whole, and the helplessness of being unable to do anything to stop it. His head pounded as though his very soul rejected what it now understood.
My lord!
Lastram was the first to enter, skidding to a halt. His face was pale, his face alight with relief.
You're awake!
Eustace and Eckhart followed closely behind.
Our apologies for not getting here sooner.
Eckhart said, frowning. For a moment, Ferdinand simply looked at him. Fergie! Yo, Fergie, are you there?
You're muted, Fergie, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
There you go.
Okay, I guess I'll just read those lines.
Technical difficulties, I guess.
All right, get back to us. I'll just read your lines. For a moment, Ferdinand simply looked at him. How much do you remember? What heartache have you woken up to? But Eckhart's expression was steady, earnest, steadfast. Too attached as always. Eustace and Lastram were the same, their voices carrying the same familiarity as they recounted what had happened to them, as they helped Ferdinand get ready. Eustace moved to the window and pushed it open.
The rain has stopped at least. Spring is coming to Alexandria. Look!
Ferdinand turned. The city stretched before him, spires and domes gleaming wet in the aftermath of the storm. The azure sea shimmered beyond, while the country gate glowed brightly in the distant horizon. The air was crisp and cool and delicious, especially after the nightmare of dust and choking sand from which he'd awakened. The sight was familiar, beloved even. But with the memories of his other self, he now saw it with new eyes. It was still the playground he and Rosamond had built for themselves. Home. Yet now, it was even more than that. It was paradise, and the sight of it filled him with such a bitter sweetness that it made his ribs feel caged in iron and his throat ache. He had never taken his life for granted, and he had never failed to guard the happiness and freedom he had fought for. But now, he would double down on protecting his hard-won reality. He would protect what was precious to her at any cost, because he knew that it had taken a string of countless miracles for this reality to exist. His gaze snapped back to his retainers. Oh, Fergie's gone. Is he okay? Oh.
He may be resetting his computer to figure out his mic situation.
Oh, so his
Yeah,
mic?
it says his mic died.
Oh, I see. Well, what do we do? I guess we can wait. Last time we had a problem with Teals, and we were able to wait. You guys, this is
We could do my memes.
We could do the memes. The only thing is, if it has spoilers for
There's
the rest
no spoilers. No, they're not for this. Just for the previous stuff.
Okay. Let's do memes then. Ta-da, ta-da.
Yeah.
Okay. We'll go back and start
I could also remind people to like and subscribe and support your magpie. Something I forgot to do last stream.
That would be lovely. Let me see. Let me just change stuff here a little bit. Hold on a second. We do go to studio mode. And all right, so I'm just about to switch on over to where's Discord? Here we go.
You're back.
Hey Fergie, you're back. Are you good to read, or do you still need time?
No, I should be good. Sorry about that. My mic just died, and then I restarted, and I was yelling, and it sucked.
A boot.
All right. I kind of feel like we should probably start from the top, just because from Ferdinand's section. Is that okay with everybody? Because I lost exactly where I was, and I need flow. I need the flow, you guys. All right, so let's do that. Go back up to Ferdinand.
Apologies.
No problem. Okay.
Yes, we all blame you for your computer deciding not to work.
Mm-hmm. All right, let's do this. Ferdinand. He was in Alexandria, yet something was missing. In spite of having awoken with gained memories, it felt like a piece of himself was still lost in the chasm between memory and reality. He'd woken alone, but even as he swung his legs over the side of the bed and stood, he heard the commotion outside his bedroom doors. Familiar voices, hurried footsteps. It was time to go back to work. He sighed, willing himself to calm down just as his mind recalled flashes of a world breaking apart. A woman's familiar voice crying out in anguish, white sand swallowing everything whole, and the helplessness of being unable to do anything to stop it. His head pounded, as though his very soul rejected what it now understood.
My lord!
Lasfram was the first to enter, skidding to a halt. His face was pale, his face alight with relief.
You're awake!
Eustace and Eckhart followed closely behind.
Our apologies for not getting here sooner.
Eckhart said, frowning. For a moment, Ferdinand simply looked at him.
How much do you remember? What heartache have you woken up to?
But Eckhart's expression was steady, earnest, steadfast, too attached as always. Eustace and Lasfram were the same, their voices carrying the same familiarity as they recounted what had happened to them as they helped Ferdinand get ready. Eustace moved to the window and pushed it open.
The rain has stopped at least. Spring is coming to Alexandria. Look!
Ferdinand turned. The city stretched before him, spires and domes gleaming wet in the aftermath of the storm. The azure sea shimmered beyond, while the country gate glowed brightly in the distant horizon. The air was crisp and cool and delicious, especially after the nightmare of dust and choking sand from which he'd wakened. The sight was familiar, beloved even. But with the memories of his other self, he now saw it with new eyes. It was still the playground he and Rosamund had built for themselves. It was still home. Yet now it was more than that. It was paradise, and the sight of it filled him with such bitter sweetness that it made his ribs feel caged in iron and his throat ache. He had never taken his life for granted, and he had never failed to guard the happiness and freedom he had fought for. But now he would double down on protecting this hard-won reality. He would protect what was precious to her, at any cost, because he knew that it had taken a string of countless miracles for this reality to exist. His gaze snapped back to his retainers.
Rosamine,
He demanded.
where is she? Any word on when she's planning to return from the Royal Academy?
Their faces froze. Eustace hesitated. He licked his lips nervously before he finally answered.
I'm still unsure of the details, given that we've only just awoken, but she has not returned, nor is she in the Royal Academy. It seems she's in the world of the gods, or something to that effect.
Ferdinand blinked. Surely he'd misheard.
What?
He hadn't expected a tearful reunion. He hadn't expected her to be waiting by his bedside when he opened his eyes. But he had hoped. Surely, upon hearing that he had woken, she would return, even if only for a brief exchange of intelligence, a coldly efficient briefing of what had transpired, for surely she'd known more about this than any of their scholars. But
Not returned.
the words sent an icy current through his veins. He inhaled deeply, forcing the rising dread into submission.
Explain.
Hartmut entered, his expression grave.
She left to consult the gods.
He said solemnly.
She returned to the Garden of Beginnings, seeking answers about your state. You were all fading from existence.
The fragmented memories slammed together. The end of the world. Rosamund's voice calling to him through the void.
We're going home together.
Yet, she was not here. Immediately he set about questioning his retainers. Eckhart, Eustace, Lasfram, they were alive, but like pieces of a shattered mirror, their memories were incomplete. They remembered the past, everything, except the altered timeline. Only he remembered. The realization was a cold, merciless thing. He tried not to show it, but inside his uneasiness grew. He transferred to the Royal Academy, demanding the Zen's cooperation. anything for information. There was no hesitation, no limit to what he was willing to do, because without her, the paradise that was Alexandria, the grand library, the gleaming azure sea, the shining gate, was nothing more than a cruel illusion of happiness. It was not home without Rosamine.
Where are you?
He murmured as he marched off to the place where she was last seen.
Come back. Come back to me.
Then, after what seemed like an eternity stretched too thin, she came back to him at last. Ferdinand had waited, and finally, belatedly, after many things had happened in the Royal Academy, she returned to him. She was glorious, vibrant, with all the boundless energy and joy of spring bursting into bloom. She was just as he remembered her. Yet also not. There was something different, something he couldn't quite put his finger on. When she embraced him, he held her tightly, as if afraid that she would disappear again. But when they pulled apart, there was surprise and bewilderment in her golden eyes. Ferdinand blinked.
You miss me, I gather.
She laughed, as if to dispel the awkwardness. That was when it hit him. The last time he had held her this close, she had held him just as tight. Their hearts had been one. But now the warmth, love, and raw yearning in her gaze was gone. That quiet, desperate need she once had for him was no longer then. He forced himself to speak.
Rosamine.
I'm so glad to be home.
She interrupted, beaming.
I'm sorry I had to stay away for so long. Please don't squeeze my cheeks too hard. But to make up for it, I learned so many things while I was collecting ingredients in the realm of the gods. So, please excuse me for taking so long to return. But Ferdinand, look.
With eager hands, she pulled out her book of Mistionora, tapping at its surface and swiping away excitedly.
Look at this recipe I got for you. You'll absolutely love it. Oh, wait, what?
Her breath hitched, and she gasped. Ferdinand's heart lurched.
What is it?
My book, look.
She held it up, awe widening her golden eyes.
Remember all the gaps it used to have? I just realized that they're all gone. All of them. It must have been a boon from the goddess. They completed my book of Miss Gianora, Ferdinand. Praise be to the goddesses.
Ferdinand felt cold, her words only confirming what he had suspected. She, just like Eckhart, Eustace, Lasfram, she had no memory of the altered weeb. His heart pounded as he probed further, masking his growing dread beneath the careful words, only to learn that she only remembered the events up until the rescue in the castle, just before he had entered the temple. She had no memory of the months they had shared together in the sovereignty as lovers. His face must have betrayed him because she noticed the tension in his expression, and her smile faltered.
Ferdinand, what's wrong?
I just remembered that I have matters to attend to.
He said smoothly. Then, to add truth to his words, he reached over and squeezed her cheeks as he used to do.
Your untimely return interrupted something that I must see to at once.
Owie, but...
She reached for him, but he stood back. The troubled look in her eyes pierced him, but he shook his head. There really was no need for her to remember. No need for her to be burdened with memories of a reality that had only brought them such suffering and pain. No need for her to know the agony of separation, the despair of watching the world end, the helplessness of loving someone you could not save.
It's all for the best.
But still, Ferdinand barely made it to his hidden room before the weight of it crushed him. He pressed a trembling hand over his mouth. His breath was ragged, and his shoulders taut. She didn't remember.
Good. Very good.
That was a good outcome, better than he could have hoped for. It was a good thing she had forgotten, good that she had no memory of the closeness they had shared. Nothing was lost, not really. They could just begin anew. After all, the memories of the weave were just that, memories. That was the self-evident truth, even if he had woken up as a man with 2 different lifetimes behind him, 2 different memories inside him, 2 different hearts that doubly loved Rosamine. He exhaled sharply, forcing the thought away. But as his breathing finally calmed, he gasped softly when he looked around him. His hidden room had changed. A peculiar alteration stood in the far corner, a feature not of his own making, yet one he recognized instantly. Rosamine's hidden room. A remnant from another timeline, something that should not have existed in this reality. Against his better judgment, he strode on over and reached for the doorknob. The moment his hand made contact, the world yawned open beneath him, and darkness swallowed him whole. He landed with a splash of his boots upon a dark sea. As the ripples spread out toward a vast and impossibly distant horizon, he heard a familiar voice purring.
Ah, here we can live again. Welcome.
Ferdinand's spine stiffened. He lifted his gaze to find Chaosopher lounging upon a throne in the shape of a crescent moon. All around her, shadows shifted like living tendrils of ink. A smirk played at her lips.
I was wondering when to show up.
His pulse thundered, but his voice remained razor sharp.
What did you do to her?
Chaosopher laughed.
Not I. It was the others that did that. They were so distraught that they were forced to wipe her memories clean. A mercy, wouldn't you say?
She tilted her head. Her eyes were now covered by a black veil, for which he was thankful for. He already knew that the sight of those eyes would haunt his nightmares until the end of his days. Ferdinand's hands curled into fists.
Or maybe not.
Chaosopher mused.
If you disagree, you could always restore them yourself.
Something shimmered in the shadows. She held it out to him, and he recognized it at once. And once he recognized what it was, his body instinctively recoiled at the sight of it. A familiar mana blade, the only thing from the other weave that had survived. And with it, a key, a choice. Restore her memories, or leave them buried. Chaosopher's smirk widened as he hesitated.
I will even sweeten the deal.
She mused.
You'll find something useful in your book of Mr. Nora.
He inhaled as he summoned his Bible, and sure enough, it had an entirely new section. The forbidden book of Verstegeheim, written in black-violet text that only he, who had gazed upon the abyss and survived, could ever read. His pulse quickened. His eyes scanned the text, and his stomach dropped. Ferdinand's grip tightened.
Why show this to me?
Chaosopher leaned forward, her voice velvet and dangerous.
Because everyone caught up in this little mess got to ask for a boon, except you.
Ferdinand met her gaze.
And what do you expect me to do with this knowledge?
She laughed softly, the sound curling through the darkness like a whisper of temptation.
If the gods ever stand in your way again, well, now you have options. I look forward to see how you use ultimate power. Now that you've seen it and had a taste of it.
The shadows around her shifted, and he saw that far above them shone orbs of light, vibrating faintly like stars. He immediately recognized them for what they were: realities. He saw her pull out from inside her sleeve a shining thread, then plucking out one of the million orbs from the sky, he merged the thread into it, rolling it between her palms until it gleamed once. Satisfied, she placed the orb with the newly fused thread back among the others, her lips curling in quiet amusement. Ferdinand watched silently. He did not know what she had done. Part of him itched to read through the new section of his Bible to see what it had to say about what he had just witnessed, but...
You're still here?
She said, turning to him.
Farewell.
A flick of her wrist, a ripple through the void. The world lurched, and the shadows swallowed him whole. He caught himself against the desk in his hidden room. His vision swam and his pulse pounded in his ears. When he turned to look around him, he saw that the door to Rosamine's hidden room was gone, as if it had never existed at all. But in his hand he still gripped the mana blade Chaosopher had given him, the final trace of a reality that never should have existed. His fingers tightened around it, his mind spinning with countless possibilities. He was tempted for the space of a heartbeat, but with a quiet sense of resolve, he locked it away in a box, hiding it in a place no one could ever reach but him, intending for it to gather dust, untouched, for the rest of his life. Or until he could figure out how to bring himself to destroy it. Urano. The night before her long-awaited release from the hospital, Urano found herself in tears, clutching her mother's hands as guilt and relief warred within her.
I'm sorry, Mother.
She sobbed, her voice thick with emotion.
I was such a bad daughter, and I almost left you all alone. You already lost Father. What would you have done if I had left you too?
Her mother's eyes softened, her hands tightening gently around Urano's. But before she could offer a response, a voice interrupted from the doorway.
I'd have taken care of her, you know.
Shu stood there, arms crossed, casually leaning against the doorframe as if he hadn't just walked in on an intensely emotional moment. Urano sniffled, then smiled.
Thank you, Shun. You're a real friend.
Shu immediately straightened, eyes narrowing in suspicion.
Who are you? The Urano Motoso I know would have just shrugged and taken it as a matter of course.
Her mother shushed him quickly.
We agreed we wouldn't bring it up.
Urano frowned, wiping at her eyes.
Bring what up? If it's about my books collection, I already promised to donate most and keep the rest in shelves that have been properly earthquake proof.
Her mother hesitated, fidgeting with the edge of her sleeve before clearing her throat.
Well, about your visitor that day. What was his name?
Urano's face instantly flushed pink.
CG? I mean, what?
Watanabe
Some.
What a lovely name.
Her mother mused, her eyes twinkling with mischief.
But I think I overheard in your last call that he works and lives in the United States for that big airline company. And he's going to request a transfer so the two of you can get married?
Shu cut in, aghast.
Okay, so how did a bookworm like you manage to catch that? You've never even flown. Now all of a sudden, a pilot just shows up and says the two of you are meant to be? Did the doctors really say that her head is alright?
Urano huffed, crossing her arms.
Shut up.
He's quite handsome.
Her mother mused dreamily, tapping her chin.
And so well spoken. I could barely detect a trace of an accent. So, how did it happen, my dear?
Urano glanced between them, her mind racing for an explanation that wouldn't make her sound completely unhinged. But really, what could she say? That she had met him in another world where books were rare treasures, magic had coursed through her body, and she'd flown in winged animals called high beasts? That she had lived almost an entire lifetime as Myne, a commoner girl who had risen to become something more, and along the way had met a nobleman who had become the very sun of her life? No, that wouldn't do. So she simply smiled and gave him the only answer she could, and that answer would have to be enough. She continued to give the same answer when, a few years later, she and Seiji's first child was born. A precious baby girl with bright blue eyes and wisps of dark hair that gleamed blue in the sunlight. They named her Esperanza.
What kind of name is that?
People would ask.
Where'd you get it from? A book?
Rana would smile, her gaze meeting Seiji's.
In a dream world.
She would answer after they exchanged a secret smile. And Seiji, his eyes alight with quiet warmth, would nod and add solemnly,
A world away.
the end.
I said the thing!
Title drop. I was like, am I gonna end like that? Am I gonna do it? I was like, let's do this. I debated for like about 5 minutes. Are we gonna end it like that? And I was like, I don't care if it's cringy. I don't care. I'm doing it. So, by the way, I should roll the credits because they are important credits. So here we go, you guys. The end of A World Away. Just want to say, I can't believe I finished a novel-length fanfic. You guys, I've written since I was like 10 years old, but I've never managed to finish anything. So this is the first thing I've ever finished. And it's a novel-length fanfic, so woohoo! Yay! So thank you very much, you guys, for reading, for the kudos, and for the countless words of encouragement. Your comments meant the world to me, especially as I often receive criticism because this wasn't your usual for my fluff fanfic. I would not have been able to complete A World Away without your support and comments. Also, I owe so much to the many bookworms who proofread and offered valuable advice, who expressed enthusiasm over on this fanfics thread over on the official Discord server. Also, special thanks to Fergie, hello, take a bow, who around 3 years ago listened to me ramble on about a fanfic idea I had and grew as excited as I did when I described the level of angst it would involve, of course, this was only supposed to be a 10-chapter fic. LOL. He gave Dolores her name, came up with Hartmut and Cornelius being absolute jerks, and them smashing Myne's cakes in her salon. That was fun. Finally,
Did I hear that right? You said it was only supposed to be 10 chapters?
yes, only 10 chapters. Also, finally, thanks to the gang over on the Chattering Magpie Discord server who lent their talents to voicing the characters in this fanfic, supported during the live read-alongs. They made it so that I had no choice. So you guys made it so I had no choice but to finish the story in a timely manner. So let me just say it. Take a bow.
That's right. We emotionally blackmailed you.
Right. We had Teal and Hirami and Patrick and Yukihime and JC Fergie and Little Purple Butterfly and Akihana and Crusher and Red Tempest, and there were others, of course, but these were the regulars, of course. So yeah, just thank you guys.
Can we have a row of applause for Magpie for finishing and writing all of this, please?
Yay!
Thank you guys.
There we go.
Aww.
Congratulations, Magpie. It was awesome. Yeah. You did a very hard. I don't know how to explain it, but it was something that I will carry it for my life, I think.
Aw, you guys. Aw, don't make me cry.
It was an entire experience. 6 months of our life, just reading here weekly, twice a week. It was very nice to have something. So, okay, I'm looking forward to the read along.
Yeah,
every week.
Yes, so
amazing.
Let this be the first of many other stories we read together. Sorry, I interrupted you.
Yeah, that's it. Just a lot of feelings, a lot of emotional up and downs, and yeah, I coined the phrase emotional roller coaster because it was still a really fun roller coaster, and I'm glad I was on it.
Thank you for being part of it. So, you guys, we are done with the World Away. I do want to open up the time if you guys have any questions. I think I tied up most of the threads. There's still some loose, but I can either explain them or if you have questions, I don't know. Because I may do like little one-shot spin-offs. So yeah, shoot. And then I can add them to my list of things to cover. Questions or concerns?
Did Eckhart as Seiji live a full life, or did he just pop out of existence somewhere?
So I'm gonna write it. I wanted to write like a spin-off POV. No, actually, it was supposed to be just a chapter within the work. So I don't think I'm gonna do a spin-off. So I'm glad you asked. He was supposed to have died in Earth, but he didn't die. So he lives on. But like 5 years ago, he was supposed to have an accident. He somehow not had the accident, and instead of dying and then moving on to Yurgenschmidt to be born as Eckhart or whatever, he continued living, but he did gain memories from that moment on. So he lived for years and years knowing that somewhere out there, so he had the memories for many years before he finally caught up with Urano. So something like that. So I don't know how many years before Urano's waking up he died, and he was supposed to die, but yeah, because Kazuki Sensei says that every single person in Yurgenschmidt was once like a soul from our world or whatever. So it's still part of that. He's basically, his soul was kind of returned to him or whatever. So yeah, something like that.
Okay, cool.
Thank goodness though, it was like a guy's soul. Because imagine if it had been a girl's soul, and neither Urano or the girl are into girls, so that would have been problematic. So yeah, thankfully the soul happened to be happened to be like Japanese-ish, and it just worked out. They're both single by the time they get together. Yeah.
It was fate.
It wouldn't be the first time that Urano learned a new language so she could fit in a new world.
Well, in the other world, she would have. It just came to her, like, because when she woke up as Myne, she got all the memories in her head, so she kind of just learned the language pretty quick. But I wanted it to be like, at first I was like, yeah, let's make him an absolute like foreign person, like random person. But I was like, no, I think her mother and I think they would be happier with somebody that was at least was like Japanese, whatever, Canadian, Japanese American, Japanese something, so that it wouldn't be too much of a change, but also to make the fact that Esperanza has blue hair and blue eyes even more striking. So I really wanted to highlight the fact that that the little baby made it too, you guys. Little baby made it too. But she is a new soul. So she's a miracle child. Yeah, I hope you guys like that. I needed a little baby to be born. I was like, after the mother-daughter chapter, after that motherhood chapter, I was like, there's no way I am going to kill this baby. I knew that she would lose the baby, but I was like, no, I cannot not have the baby somehow make it. So baby made it as well. Yeah.
Actually,
I think, yeah, so Little Butterfly and then Patrick.
Okay. Well, after listening to it last night, my mind totally went into a different direction with that. It's like, one, you didn't have the name of Seiji yet. It's like, I wonder if his name's going to be Eric Hart. And,
Oh my god.
Eric
and
Hart.
yeah. And so it's like, he comes and she wakes up from the coma, but I was also thinking with the baby that at the same time that he came in, there was also a mother that died during complications of a preemie, and so she's recovering in the hospital for months after all that damage that she had to her head and her body, and they find this poor baby that has no family.
Aww.
But it already has a name, like Esperanza Marie.
Oh. Yeah, that would be another really good way to do it too. Yo, yeah, everybody just suddenly appears. Yeah, that would have been a nice way. Well, where were you when I was figuring out how to? I was like, I need to make I need to make everything make sense, right? So, yeah, that's a nice way also to go about it. So next time, or if you want to write a fanfic of the fanfic, fix it fanfic, you could also do that. Let me read some comments from here. Let's see. Shu is so real, huh? Yeah, Shu knows Urano. He knows he's willing to call out her nonsense. I tried to make him close to the Shu in the book.
I like that his job is a pilot. It's so like drama romantic of the night.
Oh yeah. Patrick, were you gonna say something?
I call them
earlier?
Hallmark movies.
Oh yeah, right.
You know.
Patrick.
You mentioned something about the baby maybe not making it, and for whatever reason, I was thinking of Elmer Fudd when he's hunting Bugs Bunny in that opera episode. My mind went to a weird place.
Okay. I don't quite remember that one, but I'll be sure to watch it.
Wabbit, kill the wabbit.
Aw.
I'm gonna get that Lasco Wabbit.
I have a question.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so a little bit of a detail, but like, I'm curious if like Rosamine, when she came back with like a blood and like everything to the God's realm, and we are told that she was a mess, okay, and then she has her memory wiped. But like, did she choose it, or did the gods were like, oh my god, so many tears here, this will resolve everything?
Well,
did she choose to leave behind?
She did not choose to leave it behind. She did not. It was wiped clean
Oh
for
my
her.
god.
Yeah. I think that
Oh my god.
I think that would kind of make more sense. The gods kind of like are like, well, this is a mess, and well, yeah, this is pretty bad. Let's just kind of like sweep this under the rug. And while they're dealing with that, somebody that is in my head, it's just kind of like a cartoon kind of thing. Like they were like fussing over Rosamine, and then meanwhile, Chaosopher and like Liebeskilf kind of, like when you do like a secret high five like behind each other's backs, kind of like that. And Chaosopher gathered the mana blade, and she's like, adios. And she went back to, her own realm, but not after secretly high-fiving her bestie, Liebeskilfie, and then taking the mana blade while nobody was looking, because they were all trying to deal with Rosamine's meltdown.
Yeah, so it wasn't her choice,
No, it
but
wasn't.
so like in this situation, then I would like right now it's up to Ferdinand, but like honestly, with all that he's grown, I feel like I would like at some point for him to like explain verbally what happened there, and to like give Rosamine the chance to be like, does she want those painful memories, or does she want to leave them behind? Like I would be curious about that.
I think
like to be her choice.
I think there is a consensus among readers. I was talking to Crimson and other people on the official Discord in my little A World Away thread. We're talking about this, and they were like, you know what, she needs to know, or like at least he has to communicate that there's something that he knows. So I think what's gonna happen, she's gonna write a fanfic of this fanfic, kind of to show that. So hopefully you guys can see it. If when she tells me when it's done, I'll share it. But basically, it's kind of like part of their growth. Like as a couple, they have to grow, and as a couple, they have to like be open about things, because it's no good. Like we learned, and he finally learned, it's no good to keep things from the one you love, even if your intentions are good. Of course, there's some things that you should just keep to yourself, because they're not gonna help anybody. But I don't know. We'll see. He doesn't have to make the decision now. Right now, the way he feels, it's kind of like he still needs to put some time and space behind him before he makes that decision. But for now, he feels like, yeah, let's just leave it there and for now, and maybe I'll destroy it. But he doesn't think, or he's trying to convince himself that he doesn't need her to remember.
One thing also about like their reunion, I was like kind of scared of like, what if he just goes and kiss her, and she's like, what the hell? Where did that come from?
Well, they have kissed before. Like I did say in my headcanon, they have gone, they have maybe gone to like a base at the very least, right? But not to the extent that they did in A World Away. In A World Away, like they like they really summoned winter. Like it hasn't happened for them yet here. So he's kind of gonna back
They're
off.
exchanging mana.
Yeah, so he's just gonna kind of like slow things down for them. That's something that I do see him is just gonna slow things the heck down between them, just because he himself is still trying to grapple with the fact that there's like 2 memories inside him now. Like it shouldn't really alter that much canon, Ferdinand, but he does take some of the lessons he learned from the world away to heart.
I mean, he knows that Rosamine has 2 people's worth of memories in her,
and
so...
now he does, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, nice. That's actually pretty nice. Makes sense. She has a world inside of him that he can never really have access to, and the same goes for him now. Ooh, wow. The poetry in this is amazing. Never even thought about that.
That was totally intentional, right, Magpie?
Oh yes, it was. It was. Yes. No, but honestly, you guys, when I was writing this, I was like, first off, it's so hard to write Ferdinand. Mad respect to Kazuki Sensei, who's able to write a Ferdinand he feels deeply, but he's not like overly like emotional, dramatic thing. And I was like, I'm trying not to make him too dramatic. I was like, whatever, I don't care. Let's just make him like totally emo angst lord. I was like, because that was the thing that scared me the most is all of the Ferdinand POVs. I think there was a chapter, chapter 60, that I was paralyzed with fear. Like there were several Ferdinand POVs that they were slowing me down. So I was like, I'm just not gonna care. I'm just gonna write what I want and hope for the best. But yeah. So yeah, Kazuki Sensei was able to. I tried to do justice to how she sets up things way early in the story, and the payoff to like at the end, like you see things full circle. But this was hard, you guys. It was very hard.
That takes insane amounts of planning.
It does. And as you guys remember, I was only planning to do 10 chapters. A lot of the stuff was not planned. I was just kind of like making connections here and there. The Hersphere was never planned. And like little by little, I started adding more importance to it. And then I was like, oh, okay, maybe I can do this. Veritas, the Mana Blade, also was never really going to have like a huge impact, huge role. And I've tried to make you guys kind of forget about the fact that he's a blade, like a deathly instrument of, death. So that it would kind of come as a surprise.
It didn't work.
Well.
And the fact that every single part is the last part.
Oh yeah, every single part is the last part. At some point, I just lost track of parts.
Oh yeah, part 3 is the last part, I swear. No, wait, that's gonna be part 5. No, wait, that's gonna be...
Yeah.
Myne, I think.
By the way, another thing I found is, I'm reading Yukihime's comment. It says, Ferdinand has to answer for his actions of hurting both Myne and Rosamine all throughout the story, but remember everything himself. I found that after what he did to Myne, readers were not willing to forgive him. They were just not. Like, no suffering was enough to make up for the suffering that he had inflicted on Myne. So I was like, dang, he has to be punished. He's the only one that's going to end up hurting at the end. So even though he does return to Alexandria, he has to still have repercussions for what he did. So, yeah, because readers cannot forgive him. Will not.
Never.
Yeah.
Oh my god. Yeah, a lot of bad feelings toward Ferdinand in this fic. And like, I get it. I also was upset with him plenty. So like, yeah, let him have a little bit of suffering.
You guys are terrible. Says the one that wrote the suffering. Yes, guys. Let's see. I'm gonna show the memes.
The one who loves her telenovelas so much that she had to make her own.
Right. I'm trying to see if I can show the memes. I'm having a little bit of trouble here. Hold on. I think there was something else that I needed to read. No. Okay, let me show the memes. Time for memes. Let's see. We have memes. First of all, I think there was a meme from... I got a meme from Red Tempest. Where's the meme, Red Tempest? Where's the meme? Meme. Oh, here it is. Here's the meme. Something's happening here. For some reason. Oh, it's showing my other screen. Never mind. Sorry, you guys. I'm just... Technology. Let's start with...
We are good at doing this.
Yes. So, I am looking for the meme that Red Tempest did. Red Tempest says, "You'll stay with me until the very end." Yeah. So this is where Rosamund is holding on to Ferdinand. Or is it Myne that's holding on to Ferdinand? Or Ferdinand that's holding on to Myne? No, it is. It's Ferdinand holding on to Myne, because this is 116. And then we have voice chat. Here we go. We have... Oh, thank you, Hire Me, for linking. Okay, summary of A World Away. It says, "Are you prepared to break your heart and crush your soul? Break my heart in half, crush my soul like a grape." Oh, I like that part. I love Tangled. Yes. And yet, readers, some of them, they were like, "Yes, I like it. I'm ready for more." And I'm happy for those readers. Then, A World Away, when Eckhart got stabbed by Goenthal. Oh, jeez. Yeah, who would have thought that a stupid little blade could do so much damage? Emotional damage, mostly. Goenthal of Immerdink. Oh no! I like that you gave him a monocle. Yes. Oh no! "I lost you once, I will not do it again." Something like that. Princess Buttercup. Ah, man. And then Ferdinand in A World Away. "I don't like sand." Well, who would at this point? Then when reading A World Away, it says, "There is no Garden of Beginnings. There is no Eternal Five. And there is no Queen of Jurgenschmidt." Aw. Right, because this is a broken weave. There's a lot of stuff that's not in this world anymore. Like, there's no access to the Garden of Life. Initially, when I was envisioning the scene when the orb strikes the academy, Ferdinand was going to see like the tree, like the light gushing out, but then revealing slowly the tree, and then he sees how it starts to wither. The tree was supposed to die, but I was like, wait a minute, there's no tree in this one. It's like, it's a weird reality. There's no access to this, so he would never have seen the tree. It's just mana from the ground gushing up, I guess. Oh wow, Chaosopher and Ferdinand with his High Bishop's robes. Oh yes. Oh baby, I love this. Chaosopher is such a vibe.
My.
Such a vibe, Chaosopher. Love her. Too bad that I invented her and we won't get to see her, because if things go all right, they'll never have to worry about Chaosopher in their lives anymore. Let's see. Myne's last line was so sweet. Yes, I pulled the same line she used in canon, which is, "I got it from a dream, a world of dreams," or something like that. Ferdinand has 2 answers for his actions. Yep. Yukihime liked reading Shu. Peer pressure. Yeah, finishing this thing. Let's see. Fixception. Yeah, if you write a fanfic of this fanfic, it's Fixception. Actually, the first fanfic that they wrote about A World Away, if you guys see at the end, it says works that have been inspired by this one. There's one that's called Inception. It literally is, because our readers at the first couple of chapters, about chapter 28 or so, like, readers were just in so much pain over the fact that there was no Fermi, and all that was keeping them apart was just a promise to Daddy Gunther. Of course, we later learn that there's more than just Daddy Gunther, but that's like incredibly huge for Ferdinand. Ferdinand's head. He doesn't need more than Daddy Gunther telling him, "You can't be with my daughter." That's enough of a reason to not touch her and not think of her like that. But there were other reasons, political, as we later learned. But yeah, readers could not fathom why he would not marry her. So they made a fix-it fanfic they called Inception. So you should read it, check it out. And they also did, I think it's called 3 Times the Charm. That's a explicit one where it's a the end game couple is basically, why does Myne have to choose? She could just be with both Ferdinand and Eckhart. So she writes that and writes a sexy scene with them. So I'm like, okay, you do you. It takes more skill than I ever will hope to have. Let's see. Meanwhile, I was feeling pity for Ferdinand during this chapter. I'm glad somebody felt pity. Is she the only one that felt pity?
No, I also felt pity for him, but like, you know, my feelings are very complicated. I have a lot of feelings about Ferdinand in this fic, and also like, yeah, it is due to your very interesting writing that you have made me have all the feelings possible. So yeah, I also feel pity. I'm also annoyed with him. I am also happy with him. I am a lot of things.
Right.
It's all of the above.
Yeah, complicated character, as you say, in a complicated situation. So yep, exactly. Also, Tia.
I love it.
He also says, Tia says, I also thought Gawenthel's knife resembled a Morgul blade. This is from the meme, right? Except this one is black.
Yep, Lord of the Rings.
Black.
Yeah.
All right. I think that answers most questions that people have. I'm going to be writing another fanfic that takes place, I don't know, when Rosamine's children, they have children and they're adults, or at least their heir is adult age, about to get engaged. So it's around that time. It's going to be set in the same kind of world. Not that a lot of the stuff from this fanfic is going to be like utterly important, but just kind of like something to consider. Some things might come up, maybe, with Ferdinand. I don't know. We'll see. It's in the works. I hope you join me. I'm gonna start it, like I said, mid to late April. It's a crossover fanfic called Pride and Prejudice and Bookworms. So, I hope you join us for that. Gang, I think we're done. A big round of applause to all of you. And I just want to say that I hope you join us for the next one. We are going to be reading Anne of Green Gables. Be on the lookout for that. If we don't read the first read live here, it will be on the other channel, but I think I'm going to have all of the reads take place here. For now, that's my plan, depending on the kind of reception we get on the other channel. Otherwise, we're just gonna move it here. But yeah, it's gonna take place next week, starting next week. We're not gonna miss a single read along. We will start reading Anne of Green Gables on Wednesday, usual time. So Wednesday, Fridays. So I hope you join. And gang, again, thank you. Today's read, we had Myne, Urano. No, this is the one. No, this is it. Sorry. Little Purple Butterfly read Myne/Urano/Rosamine. Haremy read Chaosopher, and I think it was, yes, the random person. JC Fergie read today Lasram and Ferdinand. Patrick read Eckhart/Shu. I think that's the only one here. And Hartmut. And Hartmut.
Seiji.
Yes. Dang it!
Not
Eckhart and Seiji. Yes, thank you. Eckhart and Seiji. As well as Hartmut. Thank you, Patrick. And Yukihime read... What did you read? Okay, Eustace and Shu. Okay, Yukihime read Shu. And we had Teal read Urano's mom. And yeah, chapter 117. So we'll see you guys then on Wednesday. Again, it's been a pleasure reading, and thank you guys for reading this fanfic. It means so much that, you know, that we read it. Makes me feel really
It was
happy.
a good one.
Yeah, thank you. It makes me want to cry now that it's over, but I'll do that after the live stream. I won't subject you to my emotional meltdown. I'll see you guys later, YouTube gang. We'll see you guys on Wednesday. If you are part of our Discord server, gonna be doing a watch party of Anne of Green Gables. And Shirley on Sunday. So if you're down to it, join us. You know how to do it. Get on over to my YouTube page, click the join button.
And how would they join us on the Discord?
You have to go to YouTube, my YouTube channel, not this one, the other one, and have to click on the join button, and then become a member at the noble tier or above. Actually, just the noble tier. There's only one tier. And then you have access to a Discord server and countless other goodies. Yes. So, join us on Wednesday if you can't join us on Sunday. All right, everybody. Let's go. Thank you for reading, everybody. We'll see you Wednesday. Adios.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye. Matane.
Sayonara.